So there'll be a disjunction between the PR campaign, which is really what the narcissism tells, like the story that they sincerely believe. Although it's not a congruent story, it's something that an entity inside them sold them, and they just believe it completely. But this is during the devaluation, so the sustained devaluation phase. And what it basically is an implementation of their own win-lose perspective and their necessary outcome. And your disagreement with this, with your devaluation, is labeled as abuse. So they will be abusing you, and you, as an empath, are to accept that abuse or be labeled as an abuser, and that's really how it gets framed. So the PR campaign is, for example, I can't feel your heart. I've had clients say that their narc has said that, and the reality is your fuel is getting stale. Now, it's not even in their lexicon why they're doing what they're doing and what they are, but the reality is supply, narcissistic supply, becomes stale because you can only get so much value out of control over other people for stability and a sense of significance. It's a limited hangout, so it gets stale. You need to find a new source, and you need to devalue to get another dimension of that fuel. So, I can't feel your heart is your fuel is getting stale, but I want to feel your panic to hold on to me because it makes me feel powerful. Because just your positive affirmation wasn't enough. Here's another frame. Is one person ever enough? That's the PR campaign. Well, we try to frame a wandering eye as a moral thing to have, and a problem with the other partner as opposed to what they chose, what the narc chose. But the reality is the narc does need multiple people because they only value other people to the extent that they can control them to give them stability and significance. So one person is never enough. They want absolute control, not and even that isn't enough. And so they think that absolute control over multiple people is going to finally make me happy. So another feedback from clients that's been leveled at them, right? You aren't who you say you were. But the reality is that during the sustained devaluation, a smear campaign has to be established within the network of the narcissist in order to justify the discard. And also to justify the pity play. So when you're on to the next partner, your next fuel source, you have to have a pity play, and that pity play is the other person, XYZ. Try to control me, was fake, etc., etc., etc. The list goes on. I'm a victim. Protect me. And that is the play. For the mid-range narcissist, specifically type A. Another frame reference. My ex tried to control me. What is this statement here? Well, it is an indirect assertion of control, right? So if you're saying that I left my ex because they try to control me, then if you try to control me, I will leave you. Thus, also accept my absolute control. Otherwise, any self assertion, any attempt to establish a boundary, I'm going to interpret as you're trying to control me and leave you. And so the other reality is the X did not comply to total control, perhaps. Or perhaps he complied completely and was still dissatisfied. And that is another reality of the narcissistic pattern. No matter if you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, and and that's the reality of the outcome. They're on a doomed mission, a mission of other destruction and ultimately self-destruction. And for the most part, the only way to compensate in the situation is to get out of the way. But in order to do that, you need to recognize that. And hopefully, this helps you distinguish the PR campaign from the reality and sort through the bullshit. Thank you for listening.